So then we do have a repeat of 1992. It's England versus Pakistan at the MCG on Sunday, the 13th of November. We often talk about, do numbers lie or not? Well, no team has ever scored this many runs in the second innings at the Adelaide Oval in history. England not only scored them, they scored them in 16 overs and they scored them without losing a single wicket. That was the extent of the domination from Alex Hales and Jos Buttler. Well, India, 168 for 6 looked like it was a very decent total. It looked even like a winning total, if not competitive enough, but it was not to be, just from the sheer dominance. To try and look back, not just at this particular game, but India's entire campaign, which has ended at the semi-final stage. I'm joined on Cricbuzz Live by Zaheer Khan and Parthiv Patel. As far as this match is concerned, Zaheer, you were dead on. We had to see it till that power play and the 10-over mark, and I think England pretty much won that phase. After that, it was just cruise control.
England went beyond that. What we were expecting, it's a complete performance from England with the bat in hand. They did it in style, with no wicket, having lost no wickets, and the way Alex Hales batted, the way they set the tempo today. You know, when you look at the context of the game, you realize that how well England bowlers have bowled on this particular pitch. They didn't really allow Indian batters to get going, and it's just that 5 or 6 overs phase towards the end when they were bowling was the only phase where we felt that India fought back and they got back into the game. Maybe with that somewhere around 170, you can always have a chance. But you look at the way England batters have batted, you felt that even 180, 190 also would have been not enough. So that's the power we always felt this English batting lineup has, and today they came to the party.
You're talking about the fact that they bat down to number 11 potentially, but they didn't even need that. Number 3 didn't need to walk.
Yeah, they didn't need it, and as Zach said, they did it in style. I thought they came out fearless. India's biggest strength could have been swinging the ball. From first ball itself, Buttler started stepping out. He scored 13 in first over. That forced Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Arshdeep to get away from their strength, which is swinging the ball. They started bowling cutters. They started bowling slower ones. So I think you got to give credit to England batters here. I think the approach was brilliant. That's something which we have been talking about since last World Cup. But 170 in 96 balls with both batsmen actually scoring almost equal runs. So you got to give it to the execution as well. It's not the smallest ground straight, but they were taking the chances and they were taking their chances brilliantly, I thought.
And they were not even guaranteed. I mean, the way that particular group was set up, there was a point where they were definitely not guaranteed a semi-final slot. The way India started the tournament, you knew, okay, it's India +1 in the semi-finals. In that group, Australia could have sneaked in there. New Zealand were the only team dominating. England losing to Ireland. Questions were being asked as to the pre-tournament favourites. Suddenly India became favourites, and then how they've turned it around has certainly been a revelation. In terms of the total number of overs, 36 overs bowled in the game, you could give India 5 and England 31. And I think that pretty much tells the story of how much they've dominated, whether it's, say, an Adil Rashid spell or, of course, later on with the bat.
Adil Rashid for sure was pick of their bowlers, taking that valuable wicket of Surya Kumar Yadav as well. The man in form, he was someone could have been detrimental to England's cause, but Adil Rashid bowled superbly. And just on the whole, when you're looking at how two teams have gone about playing the game on this particular pitch, you have to say that England have outplayed. They were smart with the ball as well. Winning the toss, bowling first was not an easy decision to make when you look at the past numbers. But they did that. They understood the conditions well. They backed what they wanted to do from this game. They backed their strength because it's not easy to overturn these kind of statistics. You have all the data which was suggesting otherwise. But yet you had that belief in your batting lineup to say, okay, no matter what whatever score India puts on board, we will be able to chase it down. So that's the call they made, which was a brave call, backed by some good bowling as well, to start the innings well, to get KL Rahul out early. And you've seen when Rohit and Virat were also batting. They were trying to force the issue, but were not able to get a move on in that innings. So that is something which you have to give credit to, and then finishing the game in style with the bat in hand. You've seen 170 run partnership. How often you see
Yeah.
170 runs partnership in this format? Buttler was a bit slow to start, but Alex Hales was the one who really set that who put bowlers under pressure, and continued with that momentum through and through. Didn't let Indian bowlers to come in the game at any stage.
And let's not forget, England were handicapped in a sense. One was, of course, David Malan. But the moment you've lost someone like Mark Wood, who's been an impact bowler, Jordan ended up, despite his 3 wickets, being the most expensive, the replacement. So the logic we were trying to find was that maybe with Mark Wood gone, they've got more confidence in the batting, hence let the bowlers do the first job and our batters will chase it down.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Mark Wood was a huge blow before the game when someone can actually bowl with the pace of 145 and he can bounce Indian batsmen out. But I thought the Chris Jordan also did his job, though he gave 43 runs. But in T20 format, wickets are the key, and he got wickets at the crucial time. And I think Virat Kohli's wicket was probably the turnaround for them, because that's the time where Virat actually changes his gear. And once he gets to his 50 of 35, 37 balls, and next 10 balls he usually scores more than 25 runs. So, but I thought they were brilliant today. As Zach said, they had continued with their plans. Even with the new ball, India was trying to play a few shots, but they did not went away from their own strength. And usually, as an opener, you try and force bowlers to go away from their strength. But I thought England was brilliant with their planning. Adil Rashid bowled brilliantly. They knew Rishabh Pant is going to come after 12th or 13th wicket, and you saw him finishing it off in 12th over. So it was brilliant by England.
Yes, certainly was. And going back to the batting, if you again go before the tournament and you look at the personnel who have been part of your plans building up to the tournament, Alex Hales certainly wasn't. It's been a resurrection of sorts for him. I mean, the rest of them have been very much part of this new England white ball setup. And I think the way he's played in his last 3 innings, not only has it seen them march into the final, 52-47, and today he was absolutely on another planet, 86 of 47. Personally for him, it would be a great redemption.
Yeah, he's been a great player. He's been playing in franchise cricket globally, but in England's white ball cricket, he was not getting an opportunity. Jason Roy was the one who was a preferred choice ahead of Alex Hales, and whatever the reasons being, at that stage the leadership group was thinking in a particular manner. He was not getting the opportunities. Now the leadership group has changed, so Jos Buttler maybe believes in him, and that's why he's back. And he's really made use of his opportunity. And anyone who is following franchise cricket will know the ability which Alex Hales has, and the impact which he's had over the years. It's great to see him wearing England colours and doing the job for the team.
Top scorer in the Big Bash last year. We talked before the show about Virat Kohli owning the Adelaide Oval in that sense. Alex Hales has got 100
on this
so
ground.
he will have those memories to look.
Absolutely. I think it's not easy for any player when you know that you are scoring runs all over the world, but you don't find a place in your national side. It's very difficult to keep motivating yourself, keep going countries to country and play, and keep performing, and wait for your chance to come, wait for maybe leadership group to change so that someone believes in him. But yeah, but you got to give credit to him. Though we always talk about how Buttler is playing, how Stokes is batting, but look at all these runs he has scored. He's also been scoring at 130, 156 and 182. So got to give credit to him. I got to give credit to his mental toughness. As I said, it's not easy to just keep yourself going in different countries and keep playing the way he was playing.
Yeah, I mean, he had to make the phone call to start the entire process. I think even in the IPL, he was a late pick towards the fag end of the auction, until, of course, he couldn't take any further part. I think it was KKR who picked him up very late in that auction.
Well, he'll be happy. Yeah. He'll be happy that finally he's getting his dues and getting those opportunities to go out there and showcase his talent. Australian conditions that you rightly said, he has played a lot of cricket there, so he understands the conditions as well. But that knock against New Zealand as well was a vital one, considering where England were in their campaign. That knock against New Zealand was also equally important because if England had not beaten New Zealand in that game, they wouldn't have been here. After losing to Ireland, it was very important that that crucial game you have to go out there and win, and which Alex Hales contributed there as well.
Yeah, and they had a must win against Sri Lanka as well. But man, leading from the front in many senses of the word, the captain, Jos Buttler, we know how destructive he is. He showed that in the IPL, of course, but we didn't see that Buttler turn up at this tournament, and England fans started wondering, what do they have to do? Is the burden of captaincy getting into him? All those questions were asked. And I think quietly he's gone about answering those.
Absolutely, he did, and he didn't change his batting style also. If you look the way he was playing in IPL, he was taking his time initially and then just explode after that, and that's exactly what he did today also. And I thought he was very aggressive with his captaincy, just like his batting. He's very calm. You don't see him talking too much, but he was very aggressive with his approach as a captain and as a batsman also. I think it was from England's point of view, it was very important to attack from the start, just to make sure that it put pressure on India, because India's best chance was 168 when you're defending, was couple of wickets early maybe in first 2-3 overs, but he went and scored 13 in first over. So India was on back foot straight. Though he played cricketing shots, he showed his intent that we are going to be playing like this, and that has put India on a back foot from over number 1. So I think when you're saying 170 for no loss, you will keep talking about how well Buttler and Alex Hales has batted today.
I mean, we're still a match away from crowning any potential champion. But while we talked about Ben Stokes and coming into the Test match era, Owen Morgan had the resurrection 2015 onwards for the 50-over game. Could this be the start of Buttler and England's T20 cricket?
Well, I think Buttler, on the contrary, has changed his style of play. When you look at his style, how he has been approaching, he used to be someone who would put bowlers under pressure right from the word go. But since the time he's become captain, actually he's become a bit more cautious. Maybe this innings of semi-finals is going to go a long way for him in the finals to have that freedom in approach. I think the leadership burden or thinking at times changes you as a cricketer. So that's something which Buttler will have to be cautious of. If he has to be cautious of anything, he should be thinking of all those things rather than changing his style. He still needs to be aggressive. You look at the depth in that batting lineup. He's still been taking a tad bit longer than what he's been setting his innings up. So I think that's something which you have to wait and see. That has been the trend so far in the World Cup as well, that he's been very cautious. But come the big day, which is finals, I think he needs to be free, and this innings will help him achieve that.
Yeah, Rohit Sharma, obviously distraught, has said we were just not good enough with the ball. He felt that wicket was not the kind of wicket where in 16 overs you can knock off a total like that. I mean, history suggested it, and as Rohit says, maybe the pitch even suggested it. But before even looking at the possible bowling effort, we need to really look back at India's batting, the way England started and the way India started. Fabulous finish from Hardik Pandya, the partnership with Virat Kohli, but Parthiv, they will obviously ask the hard questions in terms of the top 3. That's our much wanted top 3, top 4. We looked at it on paper, but is there something they could have done differently? What went wrong?
I think, see, basically you need to change your approach, because we've been talking about this approach since last World Cup, and here also in this World Cup our highest score in power play was 46. We've been talking about going aggressive. Yes, we are playing in Australia. Yes, we are playing in different conditions, but you still have to show intent that we are going to come after you. And if you look at KL Rahul batting in last 4 games, he has played first maiden over. In last 3 innings, when you play maiden overs, when basically you are playing 19-over game. So I think that's something that India can think about. But yeah, obviously approach and everything was so much talked about before the World Cup that we could not see here in this edition of World Cup. But yeah, that's obviously a hard question should be asked. That I mean that's how Indian cricket goes. And because you are expected to win World Cup, we have team, we have talent, so you are expected to win those ICC trophies.
I mean, you talked about the power play when England were chasing and how important it was. The 46 that we mentioned was the only time India crossed 40, that too against Zimbabwe. Every other time in the tournament, it's been 38 or below.
Well, I think today's match, when you're looking at it, the intent was there. They were trying, but maybe trying too hard. And that's where you have to give credit to the England bowling here. That they contain these players, and they were not they were not letting them get a move on. Talk it planning, talk it strategies, execution of plans. But 10 overs, just around 60, 65 runs. It's always going to put you under pressure, and you need brilliance like how Hardik did towards the back end of the innings. But that first 10 overs, England controlled the game beautifully. That really built the pressure for sure, and that certainly put them ahead, in the game. That so much that even if you had that 5 over phase now, when you're looking back, it's not a concern. They covered it up many folds with the bat in hand. So I think that's how the game went today. I think England comprehensively outplayed Indian team today, and they were there. They had a good day, and India just couldn't really get going. There were doubts were created, and with the ball in hand, they didn't really have an opportunity. So even when you look at that bowling card, you will not be able to signal out any bowler. It's just the magnitude and sheer brilliance what we saw from England today with the bat in hand. That you can't really pick anyone who you can say that created that situation for Indian team to have a even sniff of coming back in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you even look back at all the performances we've been talking about against Pakistan, just getting over the line, maybe not going hard enough against even the Netherlands, which was a match we won in Sydney. But again, it looked like the key words I want to pick up from Zaheer is where he said, got them out of, I mean, Hardik Pandya got us out of trouble.
Yeah.
But in terms of if we had a better platform, that 168 could have been 188.
See, I think when you talked about Pakistan game, it was a difficult wicket to start with. The India did really well to win one to get to the target which was achieved. And Netherlands was again a difficult wicket. We did speak about on that wicket 180 was pretty good score. But yeah, it was you always rely on top three. You always rely on your main batters to come out good when you are playing knockout games, and that's where the games always set it up. So I think India has had their problems without there is no doubt about it. I mean, you can't deny the fact that the 46 in 5 overs in throughout the World Cup was the highest score. You cannot get away from that. But yeah, we've had the finishers. We had players who were in form in Hardik Pandya, the way he batted, Surya, the way he batted, and everyone's doing their role. So Virat Kohli has always been playing the way he was playing, and Surya today unfortunately he got out. But I think honestly India probably could have. In hindsight, we can talk about a lot of things. We could have played with this approach, or someone else come and played. But before coming into World Cup, I thought India was very well prepared coming into World Cup. So you just got to give it to England on this day. They've outplayed us comprehensively.
And of course, the captain on the one side, you had Jos Buttler getting better and better and better into form and leading his side into the World Cup final. On the other side, you had someone who's been a shrewd tactician, calm head on his shoulders. But is it, I mean, if you look back at Rohit's campaign and the World Cups are here and you know him really well as a captain, as a batsman, is part of it the batsmanship? Where is it that, how will you introspect about Rohit Sharma, the captain and the batsman?
Well, I think these numbers for sure tell you a story. There is no doubt about that. He scored 150 in the World Cup. So with the bat, he has not been contributed the way he would have liked. With the leading the whole side, he was still there. He was giving that freedom to express each and every individual. He was giving them that freedom in terms of the planning. He had those plans sorted along with the team management. Okay, this is what we are going to do. This is how we see things. These are the playing 11 members which we have full trust in. So all the things which you can do around it in terms of motivating your troop or planning for the tournament, all those things were there. You have to again talk about someone like Bumrah here, who was not been part of the side. The conditions were favouring the bowlers. That had taken that edge out a little bit, that you are not missing Bumrah that much, maybe leading up to the semi-finals. But that's how the World Cup campaigns go. You have to just find your way to get to the semis and finals or the knockout stages of the game, and then you need to have 2 really good days. So that's what you hope for, and at that crucial time you want your key members of the side to step up and deliver, and that is something which in a way we've not been able to achieve, and that's why we are here, and that's why you've seen the team which is gone through, which is England. They've ticked all the boxes, on the hindsight, like I mentioned, the call of winning the toss and bowling today when the numbers were suggesting otherwise, shows that okay, they also are there to win. They are also there planning to find ways of securing that victory, and they had a good day. So they were good on the day to secure on paper when you're looking at it, in terms of power and all that, in terms of the bowling resources, or in terms of troubles you had. Mark Wood not playing today was something, which was a big blow for England. But they found a way. They found a way in Sam Curran bowling those 2 overs in the power play. Chris Woke still not finished the overs, even though Chris Jordan was going for runs. So they stuck to their processes, what they believed in. Chris Jordan is their go-to guy when it comes to death bowling. So even if he's had a tough day when he went for runs, they still went and gave that last over to Chris Jordan. You can be tempted to go maybe Chris Wokes also, at that stage, or maybe Livingston could have bowled one more extra over, but they stuck to the plans and had a really good outing there, and got themselves a spot in the finals.
Coming back to Rohit Sharma, the batsman, I mean, it's yes, of course, the leadership is to do with the entire team, the entire leadership unit. Sometimes not just the captain, coach combined, but just purely on his batsmanship. That's where, despite the 150, I know we talked about today's innings where he didn't quite time the ball, and his essence is timing. He'd also want to look back at not just this innings, but for a while.
So obviously, as a player, and as a captain, he would have liked to contribute. I mean, no player goes in World Cup and to have this kind of number. So he would really be disappointed. But yeah, I think even with today's inning, he had got in. He was trying to hit the ball too hard, as we all been trying to talk. And when you are short of runs, usually this is what happens. You try things too hard, and that's where you lose your shape. And that is what was happening with Rohit Sharma. But I don't think there is burden of captaincy on Rohit Sharma. He's been doing it for 10 years for MI and has won 5 titles and has been performing really well. So yeah, obviously he'll go back and think about this. Maybe go back to what usually when you're out of form, you try and get yourself, give yourself a bit of time and think of basics, because Rohit Sharma is a wonderful player when he's timing the ball. We've seen how well can he hit and how long he can hit sixes. So I think just going back to basics would help Rohit Sharma here.
And that's as far as Rohit Sharma, the batsman, is concerned. But as I mentioned a moment ago, when you talk about captaincy, there's often a chemistry between captain and coach. You often look at them as a single unit in this modern era because of the contributions of a coach. So the Rahul Rohit regime, and I'm referring here to Rahul Dravid, of course, Zaheer, how would we look back on that in terms of what they've been delivered and what they still need to deliver for Team India?
Well, you talk about processes, and that's something which you'll hear quite often from this regime. There is no doubt about that. You will have to question certain decisions. DK Pant scenario, we've been talking about it. So bringing Ashwin back around that also is going to be something which they have to look at, and right now you have to look ahead. So you have to take the learnings with you. You have to figure out what has worked for you, what has not worked for you, and what is going to be the ideal scenario for team to succeed at this level, especially in multi-nation tournaments. So especially in a tournament like World Cup, you have to find a way of getting to that semi-final. That's the big day. Then you have to live up to the expectations on that particular day. I think we all kind of knew that India will find a way after they beat Pakistan in that first game to get to the semis. Once you get to the semis, then how you're going to approach the game is something which you have to look at. So when you're looking at this game also, at 170 you can make a game out of it. So that is something which they will be thinking right now. That yes, 170 now, how the bowling could have bailed us out, or what we could have done in bowling to create that fighting chance for yourself. With batting also it was not easy, but they fought hard to get themselves in a position from there they can make a game, which was not the case from bowling. So I think that is something which they will be thinking of. Generally, you have to back the processes which you've been believing in. So I think for Indian team, it's very important that if you really believe in the formula which you've been practicing so far, you got to just stick with that, and you got to have that courage also to say that okay, fine, this is how we looked at the game, this is how we made the calls, and those calls are going to be right or wrong. Only time will decide that. And in cricket, we've seen there is not one single philosophy which assures you success. So you have to be at times proactive. You have to sometimes pivot. I think Rishabh Pant's inclusion today was a pivot, which they felt before the previous game against Zimbabwe. Before that, leading up to that game, they felt that we need a pivot in this tournament. Right now, we need a left-hander. Maybe Adil Rashid will be bowling in the middle. Livingston will be bowling in the middle. Left hand, right hand. That matchup will turn in our favor if need be, which wasn't the case today because Adil Rashid had already finished the overs by the time Rishabh Pant walked into bat. But these are the formulas which you look at. So there is no one philosophy in cricket which is going to assure you results. You got to be free flowing with that, and sometimes you get caught up when you just stick to the processes. So I think that one fine tuning is definitely going to be required from this regime, as you're calling it. Take the learnings and figure out what is it going to take for you to cross this hurdle, because we've been getting stuck in this hurdle for a while.
Yeah, I mean, Rahul Dravid obviously says there is a time for reflection and that is necessary. Doesn't want to comment on the future of seniors at the moment because obviously they've contributed a lot. So I think he's being guarded in his comments at the moment. But there are, I mean, just to add to what he said and get your reaction on Dravid, even someone like Yuzvendra Chahal, who's been part of the setup building up to this tournament, didn't play a single game.
Yeah, I think that then rightly, I mean, there is no time, that this is not actually a right time to do any postmortem as such, I know everyone would be disappointed in the dressing room. I know we are disappointed as Indians, and there are nobody more disappointed than the guys who are there in the dressing room, because they've been preparing for this since long. And when you lose semi-final, you obviously going to get disappointed. But yeah, reflections will happen. And we spoke about Yuzvendra Chahal after last World Cup, that where is UZV? Why is he not playing in this World Cup? And in this World Cup, as Zach mentioned about DK Pant's scenario, here we can talk about UZ. India has always lacked a wicket taker in the middle overs. I think nowadays, if you want to contain any batsman, you have to have a wrist spinner. I think every team goes with a wrist spinner because he gives you that attacking option. So I think that's something, again, when they sit down, and everyone will sit down and we'll definitely talk about it. I think the inclusion of Mohammad Shami, which came in really late. So that's another question. Why wasn't he given few games before even World Cup? So those are the things we'll obviously sit and reflect. But as I said, I think no one's more disappointed than those 15 men who are sitting there, because they've worked really hard to get there.
And also, you don't have to react right away. You have to take your time. Right now, the emotions are high. You've lost the game. You're disappointed. You worked so hard to get here. So all those emotions are not gonna give you that clarity exactly what is required. So it's important that you understand and go back to this. Go back, visit the whole World Cup, visit the whole planning aspect and all that. Once those emotions are out, right now it's just about understanding that okay, we are accept that fact that yes, you are out of the World Cup now. You were close, but you didn't really have the kind of day which you would have liked to have in the semis, and you are out. So you just absorb, you take your time, you kind of detach yourself. It's easier said than done, but that's the only way. I mean, the few times you see you're just stuck in that thing, but the next over is coming, so you just got to focus on that. At times, when you talk about a lot of cricket has been played, these are the times when you actually are thankful for a lot of cricket being played, because that allows you to move on from one campaign to next. So I think that's the only way. So take the emotions out, go back to the drawing board, understand, analyze, and then figure out a clear plan which you stick with, and you know that what is going to work for your next campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we heard Owen Morgan on commentary when he was saying that, yes, India look like they're having a bad day, but they're a really good cricket team. And I think he said it in one breath. And that sort of sums up what happened today.
Yeah, there is no doubt about it. I think if which 15 players were there, they were very, very talented there on the ground. And there is no doubt about it, India's capability, ability of players, skill set, anything. I think, as I said, you have a bad day, and then unfortunately your bad day is coming in semi-final. If you look at the positive side, last World Cup we didn't even qualify for semi-final, but here at least we've gone one step ahead and then gone into semi-final. So yeah, I mean, there is no doubt, not just Owen Morgan. I think everyone in India or everyone in the world would be thinking that India is talented. There is no doubt, there are enough talented players, and right now the guys who are there in Australia, they were right up there with anyone else.
But obviously, we want to, you even want to focus on the positives at a time like this. And yes, you play as a team, but a collection of individuals at the end of the day make that team. And if you had to really pick your one positive, I'll come to each of you on that one. We had lots of them from the form of Virat Kohli, Arshdeep Singh's revelation, Sky obviously hitting it out of the park. If you had to pick on one, your pick for the positive.
All of them, these are all building blocks. When you're talking about now this campaign is over, what are you going to do for the next campaign? So these are all your building blocks. Yes, there are some concerns which you will address, but Arshdeep for sure has to be that one big positive. Bumrah not being there was always going to be difficult. It was big shoes to fill, but Arshdeep did the job fantastically well. He was consistently providing those breakthroughs. He was among one of the highest wicket takers of the tournament. So that has to be the positive. See, batting has always been India's strength, right? So Surya's year, the way it has gone, there's always going to be positive. You have Virat Kohli's consistency from this World Cup is always going to be there. Hardik has established himself as an impact player, and he's getting better and better with every series, every year. So all those things are going to be definitely your building blocks now when you are going to go back to the drawing board and figure out what is it going to take for you to lift this cup.
And sometimes even making a change. We know Surya Kumar was doing what he does. Virat was doing what he does. It's just he hadn't done it for a while. But for someone like Arshdeep, maybe power play bowling was not exactly his strongest suit. But he knew he's filling Bumrah's shoes, and suddenly he's adapting his own game.
He did that. He did brilliantly in this World Cup. I thought, in T20 format, you do not have that much time to set up a batsman. We've seen his skills, how he bowls in swing, out swing, bouncers, yorkers, everything. But in T20, you do not have enough time to set up a batsman, right? And he did that brilliantly against Pakistan. To set up batsman, to me, I think it's the biggest strength with a bowler. I mean, Zach knows a thing about it, how to set up a batsman. So, but I thought Arshdeep was probably the biggest positive out of this World Cup, and we've been talking about him even before the World Cup, that he has the quality, he has skills, but in this World Cup, he's put a stamp to it that yes, I'm here, I've arrived, and probably will take India's bowling, could it become India's leader of pack of which young bowlers which are coming in.
And of course, the return of Virat to form, for so long we were just, not for so long, it's been a few days only, harping on that one stroke of brilliance because it was the high of the emotion of an India-Pakistan game. But if you put that aside and look at his overall contribution from his personal aspect, but of course what it did to the team as well.
Well, it rubs off, and once you have done it time and again, the kind of knowledge which he will be providing to all these people which are around, not only just maintaining that consistency at the highest level, but also that how you going to deal with the lows and how you can come out, what are the things to focus on. I think that is the valuable asset which you've added now to Virat's whatever things he's achieved so far in his career. You always talk about Virat and how he's been pushing that bar higher and higher, and the drive which he has and the positivity which he carries and the energy which he creates on the field. All those things were there, but now he knows exactly how to come out of a slump as well. So all the phases which a person, or the things which a person needs to do to get out of a hole is something which Virat has added right now through the last 1 year or so, and putting the kind of performance which is put out during this World Cup, that is going to be an asset which is going to go a long way, because when you're looking at the next generation of Indian cricketers, now all these guys, when you're talking about Rohit, when you're talking about Virat, these guys have been around for over 15 years. So you need these kind of individuals to share the knowledge. That's the phase they have entered, where you're just not only thinking about your game, but you're also making an impact with nurturing the next generation, which is going to take up Indian cricket higher. So that's going to be an important role which these guys will have to play, and who better than Virat, who is consistently going out there and doing it day in day out, failing as well, but then finding a way of coming back, and now coming in this World Cup and showing the consistency what he has shown.
296 runs in 6 matches. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago, it would almost have been unthinkable, even for Virat, just because of the phase he was going through.
I think it's weird. See, when you're playing, Zach said, these guys are around for 15 years. So you're bound to have those kind of years. You can't just keep going high all the time. In a sportsman's life, there will always be highs and lows. And to me, I think the Virat Kohli, the person would be really satisfied. Of course, we know his skills, but going through what he has gone through in last 2 years, where everyone was talking about his 71st 100 scoring runs. Though he was scoring runs, his 60s and 70s were coming. It's not that he wasn't scoring runs. But as a person, what he has gone through now, I think he is a complete person, complete man right now. That he can guide players with his cricketing knowledge, plus with something which he can do with youngsters about how to get out of the bad phase. There will always be a bad phase, but you can always, there is always a light after a tunnel. So and that's something which he can talk about.
Yeah, well, what it's meant is, positive or negative, it's England and Pakistan who will play in the final. And this will take place at the MCG. We'll all hope for the weather to stay. There is, of course, a reserve day in place on the Monday, but that is for another day. For now, from a cricketing perspective, to look at the present as well as the past. I think when we look at the teams, I'm going to get their thoughts on possible memories of 1992, because there have been so many parallels. The way England have made it into the final, the way Pakistan have sneaked into the final at New Zealand's expense has drawn merry parallels. For now, let's stick to the present and look at the two teams that lie ahead. We'll probably start with Pakistan, because we've talked so much about England and the high that they're on. They'll have been keeping a close eye on this game, Parthiv. How much will today's performance have changed the way they've been thinking? They would have been sitting on TV and watching it.
I think nothing changes. It's a final. It can be anybody's day. So you don't get into the final thinking that oh gosh, we've got Joss Buttler and Alex Hales smashing all these bowlers. So that's something I'm sure Pakistan wouldn't be thinking. But if you look at Pakistan bowling, they've got a complete pace attack, and they're going to be bowling in a different wicket in Melbourne, where there has been a bit of help. So they would be itching to bowl to these guys, and that's what you do when you're playing a World Cup final. You want to make a statement really early, and that's obviously Pakistan would think to do. And then looking at their lineup, I don't think they would be looking to change anything.
Yeah, and if you just have a look down that lineup and you look throughout the tournament, everyone's had reason to contribute at some point or another. They started the tournament where Babar and Rizwan had just forgotten how to score runs. Shan Masood got himself a couple of 50s when they were not getting out of the power play. Mohammad Haris arrives from nowhere and starts smashing it. Shadab Khan gets a player of the match. Mohammad Nawaz is thrown in the deep end. And of course, I haven't even come to the bowling attack.
Well, it's, you talk about team peaking at the right time, and all those things fall into place. Pakistan has had that kind of a World Cup so far. So they were on the brink of elimination, and then from there they found a way of getting to the semis. We did mention that it'll be difficult for any team to face them, because just the kind of belief they have right now that things have happened for a reason. All those kind of things also come into play. And then they've gone out there and beaten the consistent team in New Zealand so far in the tournament. So they've done a whole lot of things right since the first couple of games gone against them. So from there, pieces have fallen into place for them, and they've landed here. Shaheen Shah Afridi is also looking good now. He's swinging the ball nicely.
And he didn't start well.
Yeah, and he didn't start well. So he's also now looking good. Shadab have been the main contributor when they were going through that tough phase in the tournament. not only with the ball but also with the bat, providing those that against South Africa, that knock which he played, and with the ball picking those couple of wickets in 1 over twice.
Nice.
So that's the kind of impact he has had. Mohammad Haris have changed things for them. Now Rizwan and Babar also have scored runs. So all in all, they will be very upbeat before the finals. They will not think about who they are playing in the finals. In fact, they'll be very happy that they have to play England. India is someone which always brings that added psychological pressure, and they don't have the greatest of the record in ICC tournaments against India. So that always plays around. So I think Pakistan at this stage will be happy that they are not playing India in the finals. And planning with the England, they still have to go with a similar kind of approach. When you look at that balance, Mohammad Nawaz also got that wicket of Glenn Phillips in the previous game. He bowled 2 overs, so he's also in a better space that way. Mohammad Wasim Jr. have been contributing with the ball. He's been bowling those Yorkers well. You saw a little bit of reverse swing as well in the previous game. We'll have to wait and see now MCG what that pitch brings on that day. That is going to be very, very crucial. If there is some help for the bowlers, then Pakistan has those kind of bowlers who can do that damage. But again, I feel that eventually it's going to be ball versus ball. I feel like which bowling unit steps up, because we've seen today as well. It's end of the day. If you are able to create that pressure as a bowling unit and creating that scenario for your team, which England bowlers did. When you're looking when England batted on this pitch and when England bowlers bowled on this pitch, I think they did the job fantastically well to put them in this position. So similarly, I think for the finals also, from Pakistan's point of view, their bowlers are going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, so bowler always talk about ball versus ball, and batsman always says it's about batting versus batting. That's something we were discussing last night.
When you are comparing actually Pakistan batting to England batting, you have to say that England batting is stronger.
Stronger, yeah.
They have more depth. They have more better equipped players, I would say, to play the conditions, and that's the advantage of England. Yeah. So you have to counter that. So as a Pakistan team, you have to counter the strong English batting lineup, and how you do it is going to be the deciding factor. That's why it's
there you go. We've had a comeback on that front, but yeah, I mean Pakistan will enjoy the fact that it's going to be a cricket match and not cricket match plus, which it is against India. But if you look at, I mean, the only weak link, if you can look at it, is Naseem Shah, only because he's not had the opportunity to contribute with the wickets. But even he has comes up with his steady overs and bowls at some steering pace. So it doesn't appear that they need to tinker with the 11 at all. They've had finishers in Asif Ali. Haider Ali played early on in the tournament. But once Iftikhar showed form and Mohammad Haris came out of nowhere.
And they've tinkered whatever they have to tinker earlier. All the permutation combination is tried. They didn't start with 6 bowling option. Yeah. Against India, they played only 5 bowlers in that particular match. After that, they figured that, okay, all the teams are playing in this tournament for 4 seamers. So they got Mohammad Wasim Jr. Otherwise, they started with Asif.
And that could have made the hugest of difference, because the whole 20th over conundrum.
Fakhar Zaman got injured, and that's how Mohammad Haris have come into that thing. So, things have happened for Pakistan in this World Cup, and they've done all the tinkering in the playing 11, and now this is the playing 11 which have come to their rescue in this World Cup so far.
But as far as England are concerned, they'll just want to continue from where they left off, but they can't. From beautiful sunny Adelaide, they will have to fly slightly southeast to Melbourne. It's going to be cloudy come what may. Whether or not it rains or not, we know it's going to be cloudy, it's going to be cool, and England will have to contend with different conditions in a sense.
But I think England bowlers would be really happy with those conditions. They would get their swing. And if you look at their strength, usually Chris Woakes swings it, Sam Curran swings it, Stokes swings it. Even today, when Stokes bowled that first over, he was swinging it. So yeah, they would be happy to go to Melbourne. I know they lost to Ireland in Melbourne, but bowling condition would be slightly better. And when we've spoken about how well their batting is, but I think England would be really happy that they're playing in Melbourne, where there will be conditions which will help them, and overcast. So that is something which they are used to playing in England. So I think it'll be a contest of, as Zach said, bowling versus bowling, because one side you have all throughout pace bowlers and the other side you have swing bowlers. So who's executing their ideas on a day, I think that would be very, very crucial for them.
We don't know the extent of Mark Wood's injury. Malan, obviously, it doesn't look like he'll play any further part. If Mark Wood is fit for you, does he come back straight in?
I think so. If he's passed the fitness test and he's available, then England for sure will turn to him. That has been their plan, and they were lacking pace in today's setup as well. If you see those 5-6 overs which you're talking about, or those middle phase of the game where they usually have been using Mark Wood, that was a missing cog. So if he's available, I think, and fit and cleared by the medical team, I'm sure they will go for him. Not so much Malan. I think Malan they can still manage, and the reason I'm saying this is, look at that depth in that batting order. So I think more than a batter, England will be right now thinking that, okay, if Wood is fit and available, then that can surely add, or that chance also, if they have to look at it from today, they'll just feel that only that one phase in bowling, where they could have controlled better, which they couldn't. They had to shift Sam Curran's role as well. They have to alter his role. If Wood comes back again, they can go back. Melbourne, big boundaries. Sam Curran for sure will come into play if he's bowling more overs at the back end. That has been their formula for containing all those numbers which you're seeing earlier in the day today. In the last 5 overs, how consistently they've been picking up wickets. That they had to move away from, because Wood was not there today. So Wood coming back will surely help England. That's what they're hoping. If he's not fit and available, then you will see the similar kind of approach. You will still back Chris Woakes to bowl with the new ball. You will not see him bowl at the back end. You will have Sam Curran bowling at the back end with Chris Jordan. They will be looking at the matchup. They still have option of using Moeen Ali. Yeah. So that one option they still have if left-handers are batting in the middle. So all those things, all in all, when you look at this England squad and playing 11, they have all the bases covered. So you talk about power, they got power. Ben Stokes is there, who is still not made that kind of an impact. Yes, he made sure that they won that last game when he had to bat, run a ball and secure that victory. But on the whole, you have Moeen Ali, Livingston's power. Harry Brook is someone who is not going to be playing quiet deliveries there. He would be on the charge all the time. So that's the way England have been playing white ball cricket. They make that conscious effort of keeping the tempo high, keeping the intent going. So all those things will surely they will be carrying in the finals as well. And today's game was a bigger game for them, I felt. Today's game against India, they were nervous, and they did a fantastically good job today. So the finals, it's just going to be this added boost of confidence going forward in the finals.
There you have it. Pakistan look like they will be unchanged. England possibly too, unless Mark Wood comes back in. But the parallels we drew just before we finished, worth going back to 1992, Parthiv, your memories of that, because it was a lopsided tournament, different format, first coloured clothing World Cup.
Yeah, I was 7 in 1992 World Cup. I clearly remember India-Pakistan game where that Sachin Tendulkar hit those 52 runs, and obviously that Kiran More incident with Javed Miandad. I remember that. I remember Srinath bowling that Yorker to Javed Miandad, where he was trying to play that cut or something.
Mr. Jadeja's catch.
Mr. Jadeja's catch of Alan Border, and Javed Miandad's reverse sweep when he got out in final. That's when the people were talking about how Mike Gatting got out to reverse sweep and they lost Will Pakistan
Calcutta in 87.
Then in 87. So I think that, and obviously last Ravi's Raja's catch. That's something.
92 finals. All I remember is Wasim Akram's those 2 wickets. You can't forget that. That's the memory of the finals, and the kind of inspirational spell which he bowled in the finals, and the kind of energy and that aggression which was there. I think that's the highlight or the memory which stays in you when you talk about 92 World Cup finals.
Yeah, and despite the fact that England had started obviously playing a different brand of cricket, pretty briefly with Ian Botham sent up to open the batting. They tried to do things differently. Great Patch did it for New Zealand, but didn't figure on that occasion with the brilliance of Wasim Akram taking Pakistan over the line. The first coloured clothing World Cup. Well, will they repeat it at the MCG on the 13th of November? Just one question we have left to be answered, and that is our joy factor question, which was a nice name kind of question. Nicknames. Current international cricketer shares his nickname with a former American president and the nickname of a device invented in 1901 by Hubert Booth. Very Googleable. The answer is Adil Rashid, aka Hoover, as he cleans up the opposition. Herbert Hoover, of course, and Hubert Booth, who invented the vacuum cleaner, which is often, of course, called the Hoover. Yeah, that's his Adil Rashid's nickname, the Hoover. Today, he didn't clean up the opposition, but certainly he did enough housework as far as India's batting were concerned to make a huge impact. And in conclusion, just to remind you, let's get a winner first, of course. Let's not forget who's our winner of the question today. It's Abhijit NS, Abhijit Sheth 7, winning that question. One of the very typical joy questions where you have to try and figure out nicknames and names and go back to American presidents as well. So Adil Rashid, the Hoover, will he clean up in the final? That is for another day. We, of course, will be there to bring it all to you, the preview right till the very end of the World Cup final. It's England taking on Pakistan at the MCG. India, unfortunately, out of the tournament after having a brilliant effort to actually get there into the semi-finals. Just time to say thank you to Parthiv, to Zaheer, and to all of you for joining us. Much more of Cricket and Conversation on Cricbuzz Live when we return on Sunday.